Hi, friends. Hello in the world. Welcome back to this episode of Tools for Transitioning Humanitarians. I'm your host, Salon Monova. And today, the topic that I want to talk about is 20K a month salary. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because I have been so fascinated by how many humanitarians I coach by now, where the usual way of how they want to transition to something they love doing and they believe in and how they want to do this while being with their families. And then as soon as we come to the topic of, okay, how much money do you want to make? For some, they are they're afraid even to say it or they're afraid even to think about it because it feels like the question of how much do you want to earn money seems like a luxury thing to do. That's something that they don't really entertain, or even if they do entertain, it's more like, well, what can I get or what can I settle to that's at least paying my dues and bills? And that's basically what I can hope for, and everything else would be too much or too luxurious or it's too unrealistic, right? So that's why I have been seeing this over and over. And then I thought that, okay, I need to really do a podcast episode about this, and not in terms of like how this is possible and how you can do this, but even more so about why not, right? Why not go for it? And why are we so um like trying to prove to ourselves that we can't? And this is the awareness that I really hope to achieve by this episode, is not only getting you to see that you are so fixated on how it's not possible that you're not even allowing yourself to see what if it could be possible, right? So that's why I really want to talk about how you could think about this, how I have seen humanitarians think about this, and then what could be useful for you, and going forward, what can you do specifically? And of course, if you have any questions, you want coaching, absolutely come over to coach with me, because that's what I'm working on a lot with so many humanitarians, where I'm really like by this time I'm really using 20K a month as a standard, so to say, okay, let's say that you're going for transitioning and you're going for something that you love doing and making 20K a month. What comes up, right? What are all the fears and everything come up? And let's look at it. And 20K obviously is an arbitrary number, but it's a good number for many of us to look at all of our shitty thoughts about, oh my God, I don't think I can do this. And what can we do about those thoughts that are limiting us from even considering the possibility of us going for that life? So before that, I want to go into a bit of a detail of how I have coached several of my clients on this topic and what comes up for them when I have spoken, when I have coached them on this topic. And I would like for you to also think about what comes up for you when you think about, okay, I'm not only transitioning to what I love, but I'm transitioning to what I love that pays me 20K a month. Then what are the limitations or what are the thoughts that come up, right? So here is one of the examples of a client who was saying that when she thinks about her being a 20K earner a month, what comes up is that now she needs to be super serious, right? And I was laughing because I was saying, well, you are very serious currently, right? You have built this career. She works on refugee protection, and I was telling her that you are already very serious. You have a PhD, you have lots of years of experience, you are publishing your book. I mean, you can't get more serious than this. So, what else do you believe you need to be serious about, right? So you can see that whenever our brain has some number, like even if it's arbitrary, right? Number like 20K a month, we start feeling like, oh my God, I need to work as hard as possible. I need to like do double hard. I need to show all the ways how I'm qualified. I need to basically prove so much that I'm worth that 20K. And if that is what's coming up, then we need to work on that, because we can't possibly work a lot harder than we are working already, because I know most of the humanitarians that I coach, they're already working very hard. And if we say that now in order for you to earn 20K a month, you need to work even harder, then we'll just put ourselves to death. We're just gonna bury ourselves or burn out so much that we're not even gonna want to enjoy that 20K a month life, right? So that's why first thing that you notice that, like in my client's case, is that we have this feeling of, I need to do more, I need to work more, I need to prove more, I need to be serious, I need to like show all of my qualifications of how I'm worth at 20K. If that is the mindset or the fears and the limitations coming up, then we need to clean that up, meaning that we need to change that, because otherwise we will be going for that road of proving land. And if we keep feeling in the proving land, we will burn ourselves out very quickly. So that's the first thing that I would like for you to notice is when you think of like transitioning to 20K a month's life and how it looks like and what you could do. If all of this type of emotions and thoughts come up, that we need to clean that up. That's one thing. The other thing, in the case of another client that we were discussing about 20K a month and how it could, excuse me, how it could look like. In her case, she can't even believe it, right? It's like, no, that's not me. I can imagine maybe 2, 3K a month, but 20K, no. Like we can't even grasp it and access it so much so that we're not even going there, right? It could be the opposite. So on the one hand, it can be something like, oh, I have to prove and I have to show and I have to work hard and all of this energy. On the other hand, if we don't even believe that that's a possibility, then we're not even going to go for it. We're not going to even entertain that idea. We're just like, no, that's not happening for me. I am someone who is worth earning 2, 3K a month, but 20K, no, that's not me. Right. And if that is the case and that comes up for you as a reaction, then I really want you to also think about why that is. Why do you believe that you are worth earning only this much? And who defines that you are worth earning this much? Because oftentimes my clients say that the the person who defines where they're worth or not is someone else, right? We often have this feeling like if I earn, let's say 20K a month, um, it depends on these people who decide whether I can earn this much money or not. That's why we have allowed our employers to decide how much money we earn and how much money we can't earn, right? So therefore we continue having that employee mindset of, well, it's up to them to decide whether I can earn this money or not. And then I challenge them to say, well, what if you could earn that money on your own? And then they start coming up with a lot of reasons for why that can't happen, right? So reasons like, well, I'm not really the person who can be self-employed. And then I say, well, why not? And they say, well, because I've never done this before. And I ask, well, is that a good reason not to do it? Just because you've never done something before does not qualify that you can't do something, right? Just because we haven't done something doesn't mean that that means then we can't do all the other things we want to do. And if it was, then we wouldn't be walking at all, right? Because we haven't walked at certain point in our lives and then we started walking. But if we just said, well, you've never walked before, therefore you can't walk, then we'll just never learn to walk, never learn to fall, and never learn to keep learning how to walk properly, right? So therefore, somehow we have this belief that if we haven't done this before, that means we can't do it, which is a fallacy that our brain seems to believe a lot, which is not true, right? So therefore, you can see yourself when you say that, okay, 20K a month and I'm not worth earning this much money. Let's say that's your belief, right? In some way you believe that you don't deserve it, or you're not cut out for it, or this is not you, and all of these things. Like, I would like for you to get curious as to why do you believe, or why you have labeled yourself as someone who can only earn 2K, 3K, whatever it is that you have labeled yourself, right? Why you have decided that that's the only amount you are allowed or you can earn. Like, why limit yourself, or why you've decided that's your worth, or that's what you deserve. And if it's you deciding what you deserve and what you don't deserve, again, why would you decide that's what you deserve, right? Like, what is the metric behind deserving? Like, what does that mean, even deserving, right? So we could even go into that, but in order not to get it even further in deep, I just want you to see that what comes up when you tell yourself, well, I am going for something amazing after transitioning, whichever that is. That may be even like going to another role in the humanitarian sector, right? Another role in another maybe development sector, and another role in the private sector, whatever it is. Or maybe something that you want to do on your own, right? Being your own boss. And then you said, okay, I want to challenge myself that I can make 20K a month as of when I transition, right? And then come up, like, find out all the feelings, all the thoughts that come up that shows how you can't do it, or that shows how you shouldn't even consider it because that's not you and that's not worth it and you're not worth it and all of this. And the part about how you need to be too super serious, or you need to be super working hard and doing more and all of these things, I would like for you to challenge them all. And to top it up, we could also say, what if actually for making 20K a month, you are supposed to work less, have a lot of leisure times, and love what you do and have a balance? And that's the only way you can make 20K a month. What would come up then? When I say this to my clients, they often rebel and say, that's not possible. That's not the world I know, right? That's not, it seems like La La Land. That's not me. My life has never been that way, right? And that also shows how much we have adopted and ingrained or internalized this struggle culture, I call it. And struggle culture is based on the survival, basically, that we have so gotten used to being in survival mode that, excuse me, that we have somehow equated hours of work, equated hours of struggle to how much we can make, right? And we believe, and this was something that I've worked a lot on my own mindset is, excuse me, on my own mindset about, in order to make 20K a month, you need to die basically, or if you can't really prove and show that this is you're worth it, then you can't really make that money, right? So I have um, equal struggling and proving to 20K, because the underlying reason behind it basically is that I don't think I'm worth it. But in order for me to believe that I'm worth it, I need to struggle a lot. I need to show a lot. I need to prove a lot. And then I can feel like justified to earn that money, right? So therefore, as you can see that when you like start challenging as to all your underlining beliefs around making X amount of money, that's a lot more than what you're making currently, then you see how much you are limiting yourself, how much you are like constraining yourself, right? And therefore, obviously, you don't even allow yourself to go and earn that money or make that money. And that's the one part that I want you to look at it with this exercise. And the other part that I would like for you to look at it with this exercise is the 20K a month. Who do you think that person is? And I ask this question a lot with my clients, and a lot of the time they don't have answers to it, or they just feel like they don't know how to answer this. The way that they know who they are and how they see themselves currently, they have a lot of good ideas, or that they seem very clear as to who they are currently, who is earning, let's say, 5K, 10K, whatever it is, or maybe less, right? 2K, 3K a month. They know who they are currently. But when it comes to 20K a month, you who's making this without any major hardship and struggles, and without proving anything, just earning it or making it as part of a normal job that they love doing, right? Who is that person? And they are just like, well, I have no clue. I have no clue because I can't really imagine her. Like, I can't really imagine myself being that person, kind of thing. And therefore, they can't even imagine it, right? And the reason why we want to know the difference is that we know that there is a distinction between where we are now and where we want to be, basically, right? And where we are now and then where we want to be are created by ourselves. And this is how we have created our life currently, right? And by being a particular person. And the same way, we are going to create another reality where 20K a month, let's say, is our usual reality. And there is also a version of us who have created that usual reality. And who is that person? We want to get curious about. And the reason why we want to do that is not only see the distinction between the two, but also understanding how we can embody being that person now who makes that 20K, right? How can we embody being that person who makes that 20K? Who is that person? For instance, I'm assuming that the person who's making 20K a month doing what she loves probably is not really thinking about how to prove and how to show to everyone that she's deserving this money, because that would be a very exhausting journey. So therefore, she's probably thinking, okay, this is what I make, this is how I charge, this is who I am, and this is what I do, and this is why I make this amount. And then we probably own that person, right? We probably have that um, vision of ourselves to be that person, to say, this is who I am, and this is what I do, and this is what I earn or make. That's probably the person on the other side. Maybe there are other details of that person that you can think of, right? So, for instance, the way that I have understood more and more of myself at 20K version, myself at other higher versions, right? Being more the person who is not attached to the money or the outcome or uh, the proving or whatever. I have so much more freedom to be, this is who I am, and this is what I'm making, and this is what I want to make. I feel like I'm so much more in charge of what results I create, how I live my life intentionally, right? I feel I'm more in charge of um, knowing that this is the result I can create, and I go and create it. So there is a lot less noise around it and a lot less proving around it. It's more like an excitement and curiosity to find out, oh, it seems like I can do this as well. So how would I do it? If I have this result that I have in mind that I would like to get to and achieve, then how do I get to it in the way that feels good to me, right? How would I do that in the way that, in the end, feeling very proud for having gone all in on myself, for being very committed, for being very focused, for being very honoring of my own results that I want to create, and also for feeling proud of having helped so many other humanitarians achieve their goals, and therefore feeling good about having made that money, right? So these are the characteristics of how I am at 20K or more a month. And I would like for you to explore your own versions of, okay, when I am making 20K a month or more, this is who I am. This is how I see myself. And then embodying that version and start doing those actions, excuse me, from this place of, well, what if I could actually go for it? What if I could make that amount? How would I do that? Who would I need to become to do that? And how would she be different than who I am now? And noticing those differences and then seeing, so these are the differences, and here is how I can actually embody more of being the person who makes 20K a month without having to prove a lot, without having to go to worthiness or deserving topics, without any of those things, but rather being very straightforward as to this is what I'm wanting to make. Here is how I would like to do that in the way that feels good to me, and then go and do it. Right. And I have noticed that the more I'm able to assist many more people, the more I'm able to help them get to their goals, the more I'm able to make. And it has nothing to do with how hard or how proving, how struggling I need to be, or how many hours I need to work. All of this don't matter. And in fact, they may actually be counterproductive, because in the moment when I'm in the flow of helping people to get to their dreams, um, becoming the versions of themselves that they really love being, right? And achieving the goals they want to, and even maybe making 20K a month, or even 50K a month, or even more. As we discuss these things, then it feels like we're going to the next level of how we can be of service to others, how we can help others, how tap into the creativity and generosity, and how we can do that and do more of those projects, instead of being so much about how I can do this, how I can do that, and how it's not possible, how it's not possible. We don't even entertain any of these anymore. Right. So therefore, I would love for you to use this episode as a way for you to get curious about all of your reactions as to what comes up when you are thinking about, what if I could transition and make 20K a month, and how would that look like? And then come up like understand all of your limitations and limiting beliefs and fears and all of this, and then how to change that, right? So that would be one exercise. And the other exercise is, who are you now versus who you would be when you are making 20K a month, doing what you love doing, and being next to your family members and loved ones, traveling the world and doing all the other things? Who is that version of you, and how do you want to embody and create what you want from that version of you, instead of the version who keeps entertaining a lot of these fears and doubts and worries and never really gets to anyone? And of course, you should also come to my webinar this Saturday, where we're discussing about replicating salaries and what are the strategies and tactics that work, and what are the solutions that don't work, and why they don't work, and how to make things work in the way that we can actually go and replicate what we want, or maybe even more, and how can we do that. This is what we're talking in the webinar. So I can't wait to see you at the webinar, as well as hear from you your feedback about how you've been able to use any of this material. And of course, come coaching me. I would love to help you coach to clear up all of those limitations and get to actually making whatever the amount you want to going forward in your transitioning. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful week.